Thanks for tuning in to another episode of King Mighty King Media TV, and I'm your host, Ted King, and you're watching the most dangerous combat sport in the world, American politics. Obviously, the Epstein scandal has a broad and wide web. The players are shadowy figures hidden behind big money.
The nation's biggest bank provided financial resources to Jeffrey Epstein for years, ignoring red flags about his activities all along the way. We reviewed about 13,000 legal documents and other filings to find out why this relationship went on for so long. When he came to the bank around 1998, he was a financial advisor to billionaires. Jess Staley, who was a top banker at JP Morgan for many years, basically became a very close friend of Jeffrey Epstein. In total, there were roughly 130 some odd accounts tied to Epstein. His accounts were worth a lot of money for the bank, but also there were these very large cash withdrawals, one as large as $175,000. When you have a client taking out this kind of money, someone should say, wait a minute, whoa, what's going on here? But this isn't just like a private client with lots of money. This is also someone who can do things for the bank if need be. There was this deal put together to buy a hedge fund called Highbridge. And Epstein sort of plays like a middleman in this deal. He got a $15 million fee, and it sort of cemented his value. 2005 becomes a pivotal year. Down in Florida, the parents of a 14-year-old girl file a police complaint saying Epstein sexually abused their daughter. At this point in time already, he withdrew about $1.7 million from the bank. Staley vouches for Epstein mainly by saying, look, it's outrageous to think that he'd be with teenage girls. By 2008, Epstein pleads guilty to a single charge of soliciting prostitution for a teenage girl. So the bank obviously has a quandary here. No one wants to buck Staley, so he ends up staying. Epstein is pleading guilty. He's still essentially running his sex trafficking operation. Wire transfers are still going through the bank. There's still cash withdrawals. The bank is still noticing them. By the end of 2010, Epstein is close to getting out of jail. Staley at this point is starting to be seen as the potential heir apparent to Jamie Dimon, the CEO. They extend an additional $50 million some odd in trading credits for Epstein. By 2011, the general counsel of the bank wanted to exit him. Epstein remains as a client. If you go to JP Morgan, they'll tell you it's only because of Staley. But also, if they felt strongly enough it was a reputational risk, they could have escalated it. In 2012, there's a clear falling out between Staley and Dimon, and eventually he leaves the bank. It's pretty clear that Epstein is seeing his days are going to be numbered there. He's arrested in July 2019, and stories start to spill out into the media that internally some at the bank were always unhappy about Epstein, yet he stayed on as a client. But nothing really happens. Jamie Dimon, the CEO, says he doesn't recall he even knew of Epstein until 2019 when he was arrested. At the end of the day, what we found is that this was an institutional fail at JP Morgan.
Was this a failure or a repositioning? Yeah, we got Mr. Epstein, and we have JP Morgan, and it's executives that are funding this organization. So yeah, also, we have Mr. Donald Trump.
When reporters ask Donald Trump about Jeffrey Epstein, he often deflects or ignores the questions. But we fact-checked some of the times where he addressed those questions head-on. On July 15th, Trump was asked why his administration has not released as many files as promised.
These files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden,
This is false. The files are real. The Justice Department has said there's over 300 gigabytes of records and other evidence related to its investigations into Jeffrey Epstein. Many of those documents have already been released. Secondly, those investigations did not occur under Comey, Biden, or Obama. The FBI first investigated Jeffrey Epstein in 2006 and reached a plea deal with him a year later. The president then was George W. Bush. Then in 2019, the Justice Department began investigating Epstein's plea deal. The president during that was Donald J. Trump. So there's no evidence that Comey, Biden, or Obama, quote unquote, made up the files. Trump was asked again on July 25th about his administration's handling of the Epstein files. Here's what he said.
You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times.
This lacks evidence. In Clinton's case, there are two people who say he's visited the island one time. Clinton has denied that, and there's no evidence beyond that. Trump is most likely referring to flight logs. The records show that Clinton traveled on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane more than 24 times, but the logs do not show that he visited the island. It's also worth noting that Trump himself appears in these logs. The records show that he traveled at least 8 times on Epstein's private plane. In July, the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump had sent Jeffrey Epstein a birthday note in the early 2000s with a crude drawing of a woman. Trump denied that on social media. Here's what he said. The Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter, supposedly to Epstein. These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. This is false. After Trump made his social media posts, the New York Times and other outlets reported on the many drawings that Trump has submitted over the years to charities. He drew pictures of buildings and the New York skyline. A few days later, Trump admitted that he did in fact draw sometimes, but he said he doesn't draw women.
Sometimes people say, would you draw a building and I'll draw 4 lines and a little roof, for a charity stuff. I don't do drawings of women, that I can tell you.
There is no evidence that Trump was involved in any of Epstein's illegal activities, but he continues to deny, deflect, and make false statements around the matter.
This is the 9th day of September. Now, while all this stuff is going on, what is the Democrats doing?
Over the last few days, a number of members of your caucus have been posting and engaging in some of the discourse about Jeffrey Epstein. Is this appropriate for your members to be doing so? Do you want to see any action on that front?
The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to this whole sordid Jeffrey Epstein matter. Democrats didn't put the Jeffrey Epstein thing into the public domain. This was a conspiracy that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and these MAGA extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last several years. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. The American people deserve to know the truth. What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding? What are you hiding? If you're not hiding anything, prove that to the American people. And if you are trying to hide something, as many of Donald Trump's MAGA supporters apparently believe, then the Congress should actually work hard to try to uncover the truth for the American people. There are only 2 things that are possible here. Option 1, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and the MAGA extremists intentionally lied to the American people for years about the Jeffrey Epstein situation. That's option 1. Option 2 is that, in fact, there's reason for the American people to be concerned as it relates to what information has not been released that could be damaging to the Trump administration and the friends and family of the Trump administration and their billionaire corrupt supporters. And so they're actively engaging in a cover-up. Option 1, they lied for years. Option 2, they're engaging in a cover-up.
The MAGA base is now imploding. Heads are about to roll. Patience is coming to with the economy. The economy, going to change everything on day one. Promises and stop wars on day one. All these promises. Now the MAGA base is starting to implode. Let's hear what they have to say.
Pam Bondi needs to be fired. Who is rolling this out? The little rascals?
Pam Bondi has definitely made multiple inconsistent statements, and I'm sorry, but she does not deserve the benefit of my good opinion, and I'm not prepared to give it to her.
They're covering up. The DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes. Very serious crimes by their own description. Mm-hmm. Why are they doing that?
Is she stupid? Is she so click-thirsty that she got out over her skis trying to make news, being a Fox News star? It's either that or she's a liar.
People are absolutely not going to accept just a memo that was written that says there is no client list.
It's not about just a pedophile ring and all that. This is about who governs us, right? For this to go away, you're going to lose 10% of the MAGA movement. If we lose 10% of the MAGA movement right now, we're going to lose 40 seats in 26.
That is, I think, what is enraging people right now is it's insulting our intelligence. Like, obviously, the intelligence community is trying to cover it up.
My name is Pam Blondie, and I'm the Attorney General of the United States. But I'm Pam Blondie, the best Attorney General you've ever seen in this country, and I'm going to hold these people accountable.
And Pam Bondi brought me to the White House and handed me a stack of papers. And I got to tell you, folks, it was about as valuable as a bunch of blank pages. It was baloney. It was a binder of absolute baloney. And Pam, if you can't do your job, we'll find someone who will.
There's no client list. Never existed. Pam Bondi just lied and said she had one. What?
Make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
Everybody cares.
How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation? It looks like it's going to be, and now this is like the who's going to be off the island first, right? This is who's going to be voted off the island first. And I don't know what to believe on that.
Epstein is a key that picks the lock on so many things, not just individuals, but also institutions, intelligence institutions, foreign governments, and who is working with him on our intelligence apparatus and in our government. This is why it's a time for choosing now.